you're gonna have to go out there and you're gonna have to get some championships because you have the roster to do it. Last year, with Florida, Richard LeCount was out in that game, and then also they didn't have the quarterback situation figured out. They got it figured out now, so you have no excuses. Yes, you have some injuries, but everyone's dinged up a little bit coming out of camp. So Clemson's banged up. At the end of the day, you just got to put up, shut up. There is no excuses to be made. Georgia has all the talent in the world, but will they get it done? We'll see what happens.
All right, well, let's talk one final thing with Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder. Find his podcast, of course, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple, all over the place. And how much of an effect do you think that COVID-19 is going to have on the season? We're hearing that maybe Clemson's Tyler Davis is going to be out. Do you think this is going to be a problem across the country?
You're definitely going to have your issues, with this. I think that just saying you're not is silly. But all teams are, on the same playing field as far as that is concerned. They all have the opportunity to, the team to get the vaccine or not get the vaccine. But at the end of the day, you're going to want to go out there. You're going to want to play college football. They're getting their school paid for. You just want to go out there and represent your university the best you can. And we'll see. We'll see how we'll do that this year in preparation for the COVID-19. But I think that they're in a better situation than they were last year. Let's just say that, Rob.
All right, you have time to talk NFL for a moment.
Yeah.
All right. What about the Falcons, man? I think one of the interesting things is that they kept Josh Rosen, signed him, and then a week later decided to keep him on the 53-man roster. That's I'm not saying he's breathing down Matt Ryan's neck, but just very interesting with the fact that Rosen's been a failure pretty much everywhere he's been.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, AJ McCarron did get injured, and they do need that backup quarterback just in case Matt Ryan, who's only missed three career games in his career. Kind of crazy to think that he's only missed that many games, but he's healthy. But I think it's okay to build Josh Rosen up. He's only 24 years old. Leave him on as your backup quarterback, scout team guy for the next 2 years. Try to see if he's something you can work with moving forward. I don't think the Falcons quarterback of the future is on the roster. He's probably in high school right now, or maybe freshman in college or so. But at the end of the day, I like the fact that they kept Frank and Rosen. Both of those guys. I have question marks on both of them, but Matt Ryan, let's just pray he stays healthy.
All right, Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder. You can find his podcast. Just look forward anywhere you get your favorite podcast. And, of course, great betting tips online at Kicking It with Crow. Tyler, thanks for joining the show today, buddy. I appreciate it.
Rob, thanks, man. I appreciate it, brother.
All right, there you go. Tyler Crowder joining us, talking a little bit of football there. And, of course, we're going to roll right along. We've got some things that we're going to look at today, including the Big 12, looking to expand. Now, if you're the Big 12 and you lose Texas and Oklahoma, I'm a big fan of wrestling podcasts because I'm still a big WWE guy at heart, NWA, all of that stuff. And I love Jim Cornette's podcast because Jim Cornette, and I think Bruce Pritchard says this too, one of the big executives for the WWE now. If you lose a main event player, then you have to replace them with another or better main event player. So the the Big 12 is losing their two biggest programs as far as money and as far as fan base, with Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. Now, when that happens, the Big 12, the first thing they did was they said, hey, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and we're going to basically cry, and we're going to act silly in the Texas State House, and we're going to get Texas senators and Texas representatives like Lois Cohorts, who is a Texas state senator, to say things like this.
What's your athletic budget?
It's over $200 million. It's probably 220, 225 in that range.
Where does that put you in the U.S.?
Depending on how you count, probably first.
And that's without a winning football team of late.
It's in spite of our football team. We've been winning, just not like we like to win.
3-7 against the Horned Frogs. So maybe your fan base would rather lose to Alabama than TCU. So
the Big 12, their conference commissioner is sitting right behind the president for Texas as he gets slapped around by Lois Kolkhorst, which that clip will live here on the program forever. Just hilarious when you see stuff like that. But anyway, the first thing you do is you go and you cry and you moan, and then you say things like, well, maybe other conferences will want to do something with us. And then 3 of the other conferences decide they're going to have an alliance that doesn't really do anything, but they don't even invite you for that. Like, you don't even get the free chicken dinner that comes with that, getting invited to hang out and talk about, oh, these are the things we can do. Well, we're going to try to schedule things, but not really do anything. Yeah, you don't even get invited to that meeting. So you go back and you sit there and you look at the teams that you have in your conference now, and you're thinking, okay, who is going to leave us next? And then you're like, you know what? Why don't we just dust ourselves off and we'll just look for some other teams to join the conference. So the Big 12 has identified, here's who they got. Here's who they got, ladies and gentlemen. This is who they're going after. No. You're not thinking, all right, maybe they'll look at the ACC, or maybe they'll look at the Big 10 and say, you know what? Maybe we can get, I don't know, insert Big 10 team here to come over here to this conference and try to bring some luster back. No, we're not going to do that. Let's get Cincinnati. Okay. A team that's, if they do win out their schedule, they might make the college football playoff this year. But it's not like you think football power, you think Cincinnati. I mean, I'm just being honest. UCF, of course, fake national champions. They'll be happy to tell you about the national title that they lie about, when in reality, they're just not quite with it. Their coach, though, is pretty good. I think Gus Malzahn's going to be fine there. Houston and BYU. Of those 4, BYU is the only one with a national title. But what exactly do those 4 teams bring your conference, other than to say, you know what, we'll move back into double digits as far as the amount of teams in our conference? This is turning into literally just a huge gong show across the board. And it's not about the alliance, because the alliance is pretty much worthless. The 3 conferences that are technically in a battle with the SEC, which is what it boils down to. And let's make no mistake about it. Once Oklahoma and Texas enter the SEC, the amount of money that is there just from those programs and the programs that are already there, they're going to control the TV market. And that is a huge, huge deal. The other 3 basically sitting around and having hot dogs and talking about, you know what, maybe we could put together a good pickup squad, because that's essentially what the alliance is not going to match up. Now, on the outside, if you're just someone that's on the outside looking in here, the SEC is always going to have, of course, Alabama, LSU, and Georgia's a good program. Auburn's had some time where they were great, but they're going to rule the college football front with Oklahoma and Texas joining there, and other conferences. Just it's not going to matter. It's really not. Let's go out to the phones, 803-978-1832, and welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob.
Hey.
I don't think you're giving the alliance enough credit.
Well, tell me what I'm missing from the alliance, because they didn't really come out with something that had teeth. It just seemed like, okay, we're just kind of hanging out, and what are we going to do here?
Well, the ACC's locked into a contract for a while with ESPN.
Right.
It's not like they can come out and renegotiate all 3 conference deals. But once those conferences get together, starts playing, those games, the SEC is going to be the ones going to be locked down. I mean, like no one says, Texas isn't going to go there and beat Alabama. Where are they going to? be in the SEC?
Yeah, but
The
the
fourth or
point
fifth
is,
best team?
well, I'm not talking about just the projection of those programs, because I don't think that Texas or Oklahoma are going to be outstanding football programs over there anyway. What I'm saying is that it's the number of eyeballs. It's not about how competitive they're going to be. You put both of them in the SEC West this year, and they have to play an SEC West schedule. They'd probably go 9-3. Texas would probably go 6-6. It's just the idea that you're going to have so many people and so much money from those schools pouring into the SEC. That's the entire thing.
Yeah, but if you're looking at how many people are watching the ball games, there are more Pac-10 fans. I mean, not Pac-10 fans, but Big Ten fans than there are SEC fans.
In football,
they have a larger fan base. Yeah, in football they do.
I'd have to see the math on that, sir.
I mean, they're in big states. I mean, you're talking Alabama and Mississippi.
Okay.
Going up against Illinois and Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, they have more eyeballs.
I'd have to see the math on that, because I can't put out an educated statement on that. I think that when you go to of the SEC games that are this weekend, you'll probably have the ones played in SEC stadiums. I venture to say the sellout ratio would probably be in the 70 to 80% range.
Oh yeah, sellout with the crowd. Yeah, sitting in the stands. Yeah, but watching on TV. No, the Big Ten is going to have more viewers.
We'll have to see upon that, but I mean, you have to have the math and the numbers behind it. I just think that the overall quality of teams, adding those two to the SEC, as far as the SEC in theory will stretch from Missouri all the way to Texas, all the way through South Carolina and up. I mean, it's just going to be a widespread conference there.
Yeah, but are they really going to be all of Texas? No. There's 6, 7, 8 teams, Division I in Texas.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, but are they as viable?
State.
Are they as viable as Texas is, though? Is what I'm trying to get at. I mean, you could put together, TCU and Houston and insert the rest of the teams here. I mean, I guess Rice is a Division I program. I mean, SMU. I'm just saying that in the end, you'd rather have Texas and the money that's there. But I mean, I get where you're coming from. I just wish they had a little bit more of a bite, saying, you know what, you guys want to do that. We're going to schedule, as I said earlier this week, we're going to have 8 TV matchups that are going to be outstanding. We're going to have Clemson, Ohio State. We're going to have Florida State, Michigan. We're going to have, literally your best alliance matchup of the week. And I know people are like, well, what about where you have the matchups with Wake Forest playing Oregon State? No, we're not going to have that. The alliance matchups are going to be super matchups.
Yeah,
games
big game
that everybody wants to see, not the crap that the SEC apologists are like, oh, I don't want to sit through that. No, the best matchups. That's what they should be doing, and giving more of a great product and less of a watered down product where you got to watch Vanderbilt and Mizzou play and think that, okay, this is a great SEC matchup.
Yeah, well, that's the point where I think the alliance comes in and forces the SEC not to have a big game with the Big 12 or the Big 10 or the ACC.
Yeah,
and say, you want to have your big game against Texas and Alabama, go and have it. But you're not going to, after you do that, then what are they left with?
Well, you're gonna have to make people, and it's gonna come down to ratings too. Do you think that people would like to see a Texas Alabama matchup, or at the same time you're gonna end up with I use Clemson Ohio State because they're the two of the highest ranked teams in each conference? Would you rather watch that matchup? I mean, it comes down to either way, and which set draws the most eyes is the one that ESPN will eventually float to.
Well, I think if we watch whenever the numbers come out for the Clemson Georgia game, it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge number.
Well, it certainly will.
And Clemson has been drawing a huge number every year for the last 5 or 6 years.
Well,
no matter who they play.
Let's make sure that we put this out there too. Once you go up into the land of New York and in other spots like that, they just don't care about college football. They just don't.
Oh no.
So, it's crazy across the board. Hey, man, I got to run to a quick break. I do
All right, man.
appreciate you
Thank
calling
you.
me, though. All right, there you go.
All right.
More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, you guys are harsh over there in the chat room today. Gray man, they do have more talent. I mean, it's not a question of that, but I mean, you think that Houston's a better job than South Carolina? Seriously? Louisville and East Carolina joining. Why not? Why not? David, that might be a valid point. I don't know. I mean, they are trying to sue. You're right, sue ESPN for trying to break apart the conference, but the ability to prove that in court is going to be hard. I mean, they have to, legitimately put out evidence that ESPN had malice in trying to break apart the conference. I don't know if that's how that's going to happen, man. I mean, it's going to end up costing a lot of money, but we'll see. Megan's calling people a gump. Holy crap, Megan. SCU wins today. Oh, goodness, man. Who you guys got in tonight's matchup? Ohio State, Minnesota. 14's the line. Yeah, I appreciate. I might watch some of the Tennessee game tonight. Why not? I've got like 4 radio interviews tonight. Apparently, everyone wants me to talk about the Clemson Georgia matchup. I'm like, okay. So you'll give up the 14? Okay. That's an interesting matchup there. Yeah, I got Ohio State to win, but I tell you what, man, they're going to be bumping up there, up in Minnesota. I want to go to a game at Minnesota, but I want to go like when it's really cold. You know what I'm saying? I really, really do.
Download the DraftKings app and use code SPORTS to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit.
803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call. If you want to join us here on the rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Appreciate you guys joining us today. If you would like to get involved with the program, we'll take your calls. And we'll get you squared away as we get set up for matchups tonight. As across the country here, it's like we're going to be almost in college football overload here because of the games last night. UAB smacking around Deion Sanders' Jacksonville State team. Yep, that happened. Then, that's kind of the first, but then we look at the rest of the stuff. Tonight, you got 3 top 25 games. Number 4, Ohio State playing at Minnesota. It says they're a 13.5-point favorite there. Actually, 4 games. Number 25, Arizona State is at home with Southern Utah. They're a 45-point favorite in that matchup. Utah's a 28.5-point favorite over Weber State. And Coastal Carolina, the best team in the Sun Belt, they're a 33-point favorite over the Citadel tonight. And that game kicks off at 7 o'clock. So you get home tonight, you can watch some great games across the board here. Tomorrow, one matchup, North Carolina playing Virginia Tech. The Tar Heels are a 5.5-point favorite. 5.5-point favorite over Virginia Tech. I have to read some of these. SCU Online has been just hammering Georgia fans. He said earlier that Georgia fans bite their own toenails. And then he says Georgia fans are born with a suspended driver's license. And I mixed up on my Deion Sanders reference earlier. Sorry about that. But some interesting matchups tonight, of course, with Ohio State going up to Minnesota. How much leeway will they give their freshman quarterback? That's kind of a thing too. If he comes out and starts a little bit flat, will they give him the hook? We'll have to see on that. Tomorrow on the program, no, I did not think that it was UAB was Deion Sanders' team. Jacksonville State is Deion Sanders' team. But anyway, the other thing that we're looking at here as we get closer and closer to the weekend, the big matchup at noon on Saturday in the Big Ten is Penn State and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 5.5-point favorite. There's talk about how Wisconsin may have found their way in the passing game. We shall find out. Now, as Penn State, they were just not very good last year. Can James Franklin get them off the mat? We shall see as that goes. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call. If you'd like to join us here on the rundown this afternoon, of course, Alabama and Miami. Alabama's a 19.5-point favorite in that game. That line is ballooned up. It was at 17.5. Now it's up to 19. We've also got Indiana and Iowa. Iowa is a 3-point favorite. 3-point favorite in that matchup. And then Louisiana, Lafayette, and Texas. Texas is a 9-point favorite now. They were a 16-point favorite. Quick break. We return. We'll have more for you here in a moment on the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yes, Uncle Lou. I actually get paid by a radio corporation, the biggest in the world. I don't do my show in a tool shed. All right? Send me your actual air check from your radio show. I would love to hear it. Love to hear it. Just saying. I work for the biggest radio corporation in the world. Just saying. Would love to hear yours. Where's my other set of notes?
No matter your learning style or experience level, Babbel has lessons designed for you that will get you speaking quickly and confidently. I tried learning Spanish before, but I couldn't stick with it until I found Babbel.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
I can't wait to use our new language skills.
Have you guys seen the new Florida field design? They're losing their minds over this new the new field design they have at Florida. Like 3 people are sent me screenshots of it.
That's Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid.
You don't smell my tax return. Don't even start with that nonsense.
Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2073. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Do.
To you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals.
I'm sorry that you're not talented enough to be on the radio, Uncle Lou. I'm sorry. From what I hear, you can't get a regular job anyway. You want to go down that road? Just saying. I'll put my tax return up against Uncle Lou's, the stuff that he actually claims, if you want to go down that road. Or maybe you should go back to the bottle and just leave people alone. We'll try that too. I'm not too worried about it, though, because most of the Georgia fans will check out after Saturday anyway. Upset about what? I hit you with facts. You don't want to talk about that? Yeah, okay. No, I know all about you and your problems, Uncle Lou. You want to come at people? We can do that too. I suggest you roll on, sir. You're out of your depth. More of the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I've got some over and under numbers for the Georgia-Clemson matchup. Do you think that Georgia quarterback JT Daniels will throw for 400 yards or more? You can bet on that, by the way, at certain sites, that JT Daniels will go over 400 yards. He did have one 400-yard game last year against Mississippi State, 392 in the bowl win against Cincinnati. I think I'll take the under in that. I think he'll throw for probably 330, but I think 400 is a little bit far-fetched, in my opinion. The next one, over and under for Georgia. Will they get 3 sacks of Clemson quarterback DJ Uiagalelei? I think if they get 3 sacks of Uiagalelei, they're probably going to be hitting him a lot more than that, and Clemson will probably lose that game. So I don't know where Clemson's going to be as far as their offensive line goes. Dabo Swinney says they're going to rotate 3 centers. 3 centers. Huh. That's what I'm hearing, 3 centers. When you're saying that you may roll 3 centers out there, that may not be quite correct there. I will take the over on that. They may hit Uiagalelei a good bit with the stuff that's going on with the Clemson offensive line. And, I've got one other note here. Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, I hope that's how you pronounce his name, will go over 125 yards. Will he do that? And I think that if he does that, if he goes 125 plus, Clemson's going to have some serious issues. Serious issues there. And this one's kind of funny with Will Muschamp running the special teams. Will the Bulldogs finally get a kick return for a touchdown? Georgia's got the athletes. They should be able to do that anyway. But will they get a kick return for a touchdown? I don't know. That's going to be a tough one when you really stop and think about it. But we shall see. Begging Megan with a good point online. I can't imagine rotating 3 centers being a good thing. You know, that's the thing. He's listed the 2 centers that were backups to the original center. But then they're talking about Matt Bokhorst, which is your all ACC offensive guard. And it's like, yeah, you're going to let him play center too? Well, who's going to play guard for him? Your right guard. They may roll 3 centers out there. That's not the news you want to hear if you're a Clemson fan. Really not. The other thing that Clemson's dealing with is Tyler Davis is probably, there's talk that he has COVID-19. And by the way that Dabo Swinney handled that yesterday was just silly. You don't have to be that way. Talking about, I'll just tell you who's in and who's out on Saturday. Very Will Muschamp-like. Here's a thought. Put who's in and who's out. You know who has COVID now. You know who has it. Why not just put it out there? That's the best way to go. And I guess in his mind, he may be thinking, well, maybe I'm letting Georgia know too much. Well, you've already told them you may rotate 3 centers. You've said that. If I'm the Georgia defensive line, I'm looking around. They're going to play 3 different centers. They already know that. If you're worried about giving things up, how about don't give that up? Maybe that's just some silliness there. Also, he hasn't came out and said it yet, but Fred Davis, the player that had the incident where he hit a mail truck and the guy was seriously injured, that guy shouldn't be on the field on Saturday. Shouldn't be on the field. And until you get your legal issues cleared up where you almost killed someone, shouldn't be on the field, period. I don't get the whole thing about even playing on one side or the other. Maybe he'll play, maybe he won't. How about until he gets his life straight, he's a part of our team, he's a part of our family, because we don't kick people to the curb here, but figure it out before you step foot on the field. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 for Clemson. Will Clemson break the 150-yard mark rushing? Over and under on that, 150 yards. I'm going to go under. The Georgia defense, the run defense, is one of the best in the country. And that Georgia defensive line is nasty. All right, out to the phones we go. 803-978-1832. Welcome to the Rundown. Good afternoon.
What's going on? Did I hear some pop quiz questions out there?
Oh, we're just doing over and under on certain stats for the Clemson-Georgia matchup. Do you think that Clemson will get 150 yards rushing against Georgia this weekend?
I would be highly surprised if they did.
I think that's a reach.
Unless somebody busts off like an 80-yard run and then they get 30 carries for 70 yards the rest of the way. I think Clemson wins, but I don't think they get 150 yards.
I completely agree with you on that. The other couple, I'll give you the other ones for Clemson as far as on the Clemson side. Will DJ Uiagalelei throw for 350 plus?
I think that's a very strong possibility. I would say probably more likely fall within the 300 to 350 range. So I'd say under, but I would not be shocked.
And finally, will DJ Uiagalelei throw an interception? He's yet to throw an interception in his career.
No, but JT Daniels will throw 2 at least. Thanks a lot.
All right, there you go. I don't know if JT Daniels is going to throw a couple or not. Clemson secondary is, I get frustrated when Clemson folks are like, man, the secondary is going to be pretty good. Well, first of all, Fred Davis was supposedly your one of your better corners. He shouldn't be playing. I think that Booth is a good player, but after that, if these are the same guys that you were rolling out there that Ohio State lit up like a Christmas tree. Now, Ohio State has better wide receivers, I believe, with Olave and the other folks that they ran out there than Georgia does. But to think that Clemson is just going to be lights out in the secondary, I think that's a little far-fetched. I do think Clemson has a better opportunity to stop the run and force the game to go to JT Daniels' arm. And if you watch JT Daniels' games, by the way, he lacks touch on the ball. I think the average Georgia fan, if they'll take their goggles off for a second, they'll tell you he lacks the ability to put the ball exactly where he needs it to go. On deep passes, guys have to stop. He can overthrow. There's all of that there. But if they put the game on his shoulders, can he go and win it? I think that's going to be what Venables does. He may turn it up a little bit. But as far as pressure, I think they're going to have the see if JT Daniels can win the game for him. I think Megan's saying, yes, he does, Rob. I don't know if he's agreeing with me or not. We shall see. Tomorrow, full picks on the show. Full picks against the spread for the Saturday matchups. Don't forget Lawton Swan from Clemson Sports Talk, the czar of Clemson Sports. He will join us next.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Clemson Sports. I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. Podcast is up at 5 o'clock today. We may have a college football Hall of Famer on the program next week. Yeah, we'll get into that as we roll along. I think Megan and I agree on something. That lack of touch can cost us this game. Oh, my goodness. Stop the press, ladies and gentlemen. Megan and I agree on something. All right, more of the rundown tomorrow here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Don't tell anybody that you agree with me. I think the Gamecocks are going to be fine. They're going to beat the snot out of Eastern Illinois. I don't know about East Carolina, though. That's a tough bunch. They play tonight, so we ain't got to tell anybody, Megan, but I watched 3 full games in the past, I think, 4 days, just having him on in the background with JT Daniels, and he doesn't have the touch on the ball. Now, on the other hand, Uyunglele doesn't either. Uyunglele throws rocket balls, man. That could be just as hard. We'll see. All right. Appreciate you guys, man. We'll talk to you later on.